If somebody expects you to make snap decisions in this moment, then I hope you decline. I hope you turn them down. I hope you push them away and say, bother somebody else with your in-the-moment stuff. I don't exist in the moment. I'm not spontaneous, no matter how tempting it may be. I know that I exist over time. And if this is truly important to you, you will be able to honor me and wait until tomorrow.
See, so difficult to be an emotional being. I mean, I understand. I really do. I know what that is. I can remember one day many years ago touring in Germany, and we took a wrong road somewhere, and I had an emotional partner at the time. And I think we were somewhere in East Germany. I have no idea. We were really lost. And we were supposedly on our way to Hamburg, which is normally about a 4-hour drive. And it was a very tight timing because I had a class. And we were lost. And I'm very unemotional. And all of a sudden I feel this emotional energy in my body. You know, I'm sitting beside this guy and he's cranky. Okay? I mean, he is so angry. There's an emotional manifester, really angry, and the anger is raging inside of his system, and I can feel this coming into me. And I decide I'm just going to watch this movie. And at some point he realizes how to get around, and we make this bizarre U-turn, end up in some, really strange place. But anyway, we eventually end up back on the highway. And of course, at that moment ending up back on the highway, I assumed that as an emotional being that he would sort of, it would drop. This frequency would just let go, right? And I'm sitting there. It took 2 hours for this energy in his body to finally calm down. And it was a great lesson for me. I mean, it was the first time in my process, because I grew up, as any unemotional person does, being very prejudiced against the emotional system. It was the first time I had any real empathy. I got it. What I understood was, that awareness or clarity isn't going to stop a wave from completing its motion. You can't just stop a wave. Doesn't happen unless you kill them. There's a movement, and the movement has to complete. And you see, everything for the emotional being is to understand something about themselves. If you are an emotional person, you're here to be deep. If you're an emotional projector, you're here to be incredibly deep. But it means you have to have patience. Patience. There is no truth in the now. The projector with the split that sends somebody away, the emotional projector always sends people away, all the time, good, bad, or indifferent. You must always send them away. Always. One of the things to understand about being an emotional person is that nobody has a right to make a deal to have access to you in a moment. No one. No one. Because you cannot make that agreement in the moment. You cannot. You cannot know if it's so. And it is a basic law of understanding what it means to be an emotional person. You don't do things in the now. You don't rush in. You wait. And as a projector, you have to understand that when you push away, they don't go away. So don't worry. You'll get another chance to assess them in your wave. But you see, the great dilemma in the not-self projector's life who is emotional is that they emotionalize their blame. They get cranked up. They get hysterical. And because they're designed to be one-on-one with people, they run around making one-on-one connections with others, unleashing all of their blame. And then they have to live with the consequences. They have to live with the way in which other people think of them and see them. See, emotional beings who do not wait out the wave, others will never trust them. You can't. You can't.
Personally, I really appreciate this story. How even after the problem was solved for the emotional being, the wave of their turbulent emotional energy did not immediately subside. It's not simply gone and done. You see, logically, it might make sense. I was upset about this thing. It's no longer a problem. Okay, I'm not upset anymore. It's not a problem. Wonderful, fantastic. And for undefined, non-emotional people, I think that's the way. I think the fact that you're amplifying emotions or not allows for the chemistry to dissolve into clarity pretty dang quickly. However, if you are emotional inner authority, then you're dealing with a fixed biological and neurochemistry situation that takes time to process. It's not about simply logic. It's not about what makes sense to the thinking mind. We're talking about something much deeper. We're talking about the actual physics, the chemistry, the order of operations in the cells of your body. How is one cell communicating to another, to another, to another, to another? And how are they relating to each other? And this process takes time. It's possible that our thoughts influence the process. Joe Dispenza's work says that every thought we have influences our neurochemistry. And yet the process is not about logically reaching a conclusion. This is about emotions. This is about feelings. This is about the touch of utter fulfillment or not. This is something much deeper than simply thinking about things. And so if you're an emotional being, I invite you to give yourself patience with this process. Remember, you don't need to have all the details. You don't need to be right now in the moment. If somebody expects you to make snap decisions in this moment, then I hope you decline. I hope you turn them down. I hope you push them away and say, bother somebody else with your in-the-moment stuff. I don't exist in the moment. I'm not spontaneous, no matter how tempting it may be. I know that I exist over time. And if this is truly important to you, you will be able to honor me and wait until tomorrow, or wait until next week. Wait until I let you know I'm ready, or come and check in. However I wish to communicate with you, I wish for it to be in respect and honor for the fact that I don't have clarity in this exact moment. Emotional beings, we don't. All we have is this deep, 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 rich feeling, these sensations that come over us. It's overpowering. We can't control it with our thoughts. Our thoughts are the result of it. This inner authority, it reminds me a lot of state-dependent memory. This notion that depending on what emotional state you're contained within determines the memories you have access to. So if you're an emotional being, you might recognize that when you're in the low end of your wave, it doesn't matter what somebody's talking about. It's all horrible. Everything in life is bad. It's all coming to an end. It's game over. All of the stuff is bad. And it doesn't matter when you're in the high end of your wave, it's the exact opposite. It could be anything and it's wonderful. It's fantastic. Oh, bad news? Not a big deal. I'm feeling good. This is okay. I can make the best of it. And so that paints a dramatic difference in awareness for these emotional beings. You have to be able to cycle up to the highs where everything is wonderful and then back down to the bottom where everything is terrible, and to see from the high and the low and the high and the low and the high and the low, and what truth remains. What is clear after all the highs and all the lows? My common example is I do not want to be punched in the face. It doesn't matter how happy I am, how joyful I am. It doesn't matter how sad, how depressed, how unhappy I am. I don't want to be punched in the face. I simply don't. And that's clear to me. I would wish for that to never happen to myself or anyone else, unless that's what they want. And I know for me, it's not what I want. And so have patience with the emotional system. That's my invitation. Remember, you don't have to release your load of energy in the moment of intensity. As an emotional being, the more intense you feel, the more I pray you have the strength and courage not to act. And I know that's paradoxical, and yet this is our strength. This is our power as emotional beings to wait. Because if we act from our highest of highs or our lowest of lows, you could easily recognize within 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe even the next day, oh God, that was wrong. That's not right. Why would I do that? I was so caught up in the moment. I didn't have access to clarity. I was lost in my own amplification. I was certain it was so right. I was certain I was going to find love this time. I was certain I was right. It turns out it really didn't matter. And such is the nature of amplification with an emotional defined system.
If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.